Hello and welcome back to The Melting Pot. I'm Sunil.
I'm Nij, and today we're going to be discussing Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
Strange New Worlds.
Star Trek is back.
Finally. I've been waiting for this for so long.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Well, it feels old school.
Yeah, it does.
So what have you thought of the first series?
Yeah, I thought it's been pretty good. I mean, as you said, old school. I think they've gone back to that episodic version of it where, you know, you didn't have to be in it, invested in the whole series, knowing backstories and, you know, one massive plot line at the end.
Like a serialized type thing.
So I like that. I think we should just say a bit that this is now after the events of
So you're already confused.
Yeah. Was it after the events of? Yeah, so this is after the events of Discovery, but obviously before the original series.
Yeah, so it's, after... is it season 3 Discovery?
Yeah, because Discovery's still running alongside, isn't it? But now...
Well, yeah, because Discovery's set before this.
Yeah.
But then they...
But now it's
go
after
forward
this.
in time, so now it's after this, so it's just really weird.
Now it's after everything.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
For me, I think that the biggest thing that I love about this show is that episodic format.
Yeah.
The serialized thing with Discovery I found frustrating because it means at the end of every season, I'm always starting the next one thinking, wait, what the hell happened in the last one? And there's always such massive changes. I mean, Discovery is one of those shows where each season could have been its own complete end-to-end storyline because so much happens in one season. And, you know, everything has changed. I mean, between the end of season 3 and the start of season 4, they've travelled time. They're in a completely different environment. You've got a whole bunch of new characters, a whole new, version of the Federation or not of the Federation, all this kind of stuff. And I kind of find that a bit frustrating because for me, Star Trek has always been like a comfort blanket that you go to it and you can sit down. It doesn't matter whether you watched the last episode or you missed the last 5, you can sit down and you can enjoy it and you kind of know where you are with it. You enjoy the characters and the setting and you can often learn a thing or two because there's always that moral kind of compass
and this is sort
message.
of gone back to that.
Yeah. So while Discovery has a lot of merits, this is what I've really been waiting for, to come back to that warm blanket kind of situation.
I think with Discovery as well, they drip feed you the story or the recent Star Treks, which is good if it's exciting because you don't know what's going on and then you get fed a little. The downside of that is that if you miss a chunk of it, you're like, what has happened? How did we get to this point from that point?
So yeah, I definitely enjoy this. It's more. I think it's more my speed.
And what do you think of, you know, the ship, the music?
The ship is like...
It's cool, isn't it? It's going
really
back
cool.
to the...
I think they've done a really good job bringing the Enterprise from the 50s and 60s into this century without losing the essence of what made it the Enterprise. I think it looks really, really good. I like the way they've done the bridge.
Yeah.
I like that whole design. I think it can be quite a difficult task to take something which is so loved and so classic and modernize it without losing its essence. And I think they've done a really good job with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it looks fantastic. Like you said, you can still recognize it as the Enterprise, but obviously it's different. I like these. There's some nuances, like I don't know what these bits are called on the front, the red bits.
Yeah,
you know, but in the old series they were just like
spin.
spinning, and they're still doing this, which is quite cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I think the music is epic because it's that that tune, but just redone.
Yeah,
with the little weird ghostly flute at the end.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
I think it's brilliant.
This guy,
the main man.
Yeah, the main man. Oh, there's the bridge you were talking about. That's fantastic.
I think, as always, as you kind of expect for a show about the Enterprise, the captain is the linchpin. And obviously they've invested a lot in him where, you know, he knows his future.
Yeah.
He knows what's coming because of the whole time crystal thing. And he's trying to do the right thing and wondering whether this knowledge is a good thing or a bad thing. You know, is he able to escape his fate or not? And it influences his decisions. But I think what I love about his character and how he's been written is that it doesn't necessarily affect his moral compass.
Yeah, he's always still doing the right thing no matter what, which is what you would imagine like a Starfleet captain would do.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I agree with that. I think the casting, as in Anson Mount playing him, is spot on. I mean, just embodies Captain Pike when you look at him. And he's way better than he was in Inhumans.
Although he had, a third of a line in that entire...
And also, that was probably not his fault. But, but he's a great actor, and I think he plays him very well. And like you said, I think he plays that turmoil of knowing what's going to happen and looking for ways to sort of try and avoid it. But then everything that he tries to find, the ways that he tries to avoid it, is going to be to the detriment of something else. So he decides, no, I'm not going to do that because that's against my morals.
Exactly.
Which I love,
I think also another big part for me, not to keep harping back to Discovery, but for me, he was the best part of Discovery.
Yeah, I agree with that actually.
And I think a lot of fans were sort of calling out and saying, hey, we want a Captain Pike show. That whole crew, when they came out in that show, was loved. And I think it made people realise that, Discovery's great in and of itself, but this is the crew that we're looking for. This is what we want. And I'm just glad they went out and did it. I think I wouldn't say my concern, but I think there is going to be a potential issue here because this highlights a lot of the shortcomings of Discovery right in front of you, plain as day. You know, Discovery was Discovery, right? And it's its own show. And at the time, there was nothing else until Picard turned up, apart from like Lower Decks and stuff like that, which is kind of a different genre, really. But this was sort of it. Now, Strange New Worlds has turned up. I have had waning interest in Discovery already. I'm probably not going to watch it again now because I don't think it suits me. And I think there's probably a lot of fans out there who might feel the same way or hope that maybe Discovery learns some lessons from this show and maybe changes or takes a step back from that crazy serialized storyline. I don't know. Maybe it's just wishful thinking.
I don't know. I mean, Discovery is a different discussion, but I quite like Discovery because it's different as a Star Trek show. But this is what I know to be Star Trek, and this hasn't been around for ages, and I've missed it. So I'm glad that this is back as it is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely.
So let's go to the first officer. We don't really know a lot about Una Chin Riley, but we sort of know a bit about her during the first season. I think that's the way it went with the first season. It was, you got to introduce these characters and do backstories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what do you think of her? Good first officer?
I love that they call her number one.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it?
That's just such a great nod.
Yeah.
I think she's a really interesting character. It's nice that as a whole, the show has it's a very diverse crew, which harks back to the original series. We've said in our dedication already that was a groundbreaking show with Uhura in her position and how she was cast. And I think they've paid homage to that. Obviously, a lot of the characters, we see a young Uhura as well, but having a female first officer who is as strong and as powerful as Una is, and giving her that space to command and be shown as a strong character, I think that is in keeping with what Star Trek represents as a show, because it's always been about inclusivity, diversity, and giving space to characters from all different walks of life to grow.
And we don't know really what's happened at the end of this season, but maybe the second season she'll be a bit more integral, or there'll be something, it will revolve around her or something.
Yeah, I mean, there were little signals there that something wasn't quite sitting well.
I mean, it was from that episode where you find out who she is.
Yeah.
When she like picks up Spock like a ragdoll and just carries him.
Chucks him over his shoulder. Yeah, I love that scene. Yeah. I love that scene. It's brilliant. I think, you mentioned Spock. I think Spock is such a hard character to follow.
Yeah.
You know, Leonard Nimoy has an incredible legacy. Zachary Quinto in the movies, I think, did a fantastic job. You know, that whole Kelvin universe trilogy has taken it in a different direction, and I think he sits really well in that. But to come back to I don't know if you can call it the small screen anymore, given how widespread TV is these days, but I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, I do like him as well. I like you didn't really see it before, but I like the turmoil in him from his half Vulcan, half human side, that you sort of sense it in the background, but he acts quite Vulcan deliberately. But there is that moment where he lets out the rage and then he can't control it after that. He goes and smashes in a bulkheader after that. And it's just that, his relationship with Nurse Chapel as well. So you see like human elements that he's very clearly in the show trying to suppress. Yeah. But he can't deny the fact that he's half human. And I like that like interplay in the background with what's going on with his character. Yeah.
Like you bring up Nurse Chapel as well. I think she's a great character because in the original series, there is like a hint that there's something, at least from her side, towards Spock. But they don't take it any further. Here it's much more explicit, but they've given her, like I said before, they've given her the space to actually grow as a character and have some interesting interplay. And a lot of the storylines give her that opportunity to show that her, I don't know if you'd call it infatuation, you don't really know right now, but she has what seem to be quite deep feelings towards him. And I think it's interesting that it would appear a lot of those feelings are a part of the fact that he is so, I wouldn't say confused, but he's divided, right, between those two parts of his heritage. And I think she finds that interesting. And she wants to try and help him. So I really like how they've woven those aspects together to develop other characters. I'm really interested to see where this goes.
Well, you know that some of these will be the crew, right? The original crew.
The original crew.
They have to work towards that. I think that she had that infatuation with Spock in the original series, but you never knew anything about it.
It was almost like a weird fascination with him, right?
I like that.
This is different.
Explaining it. But also her character was quite docile in the original series, where she was just a nurse and just do stuff with McCoy and just be around and stuff. She's quite a badass in this one, which I like, because, you know, she's like knocking people out with hypo sprays and stuff like that.
That's really funny. Yeah.
So, and she, you know, she's quite forthright, like even when she's talking to Pring or like other people, where she's challenging people. So I think, I don't know her name, the actress's name, but I think it's a good choice for her. Be Chapel.
She's been really good. We're in the medical bay right now. Mbenga.
Yeah.
I would say he's probably one of the weaker stories that we've been told.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you think of the whole thing with his daughter and all that?
I liked it in the sense it gave a facet, like a different view on his character and his trouble and stuff. So I liked that. I don't necessarily think the resolution of that was, it just, because they had built it up like, oh, she has to come out of the transporter and you have to read stories to her. He's working on a cure. Some alien races have some information, but they're not giving him everything. So you thought, okay, this is like a long haul thing. And suddenly in one episode, they just resolved the whole situation. Yeah. It's almost as if we need to get this out of the way because there's something else that's going to happen. Maybe the introduction of McCoy, maybe he's going to do something else and he can't have that attachment. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, that whole episode, I mean, we've always seen in all of the Star Trek series, less so in Discovery, but certainly in the old episodic ones, you get filler episodes. Ones which are based on the holodeck, ones which are based in some sort of fantasy, or you know, that's okay. You know, they were never my favorite episodes, and they were the ones which I would watch sort of in the background, and I'd be sort of doing something else, and you know, nothing's particularly important is going to happen. When the storyline started, where they got trapped in that
storybook thing or whatever,
the storybook thing, I felt that was a filler episode. And I was kind of shocked when it got to the end and it's all about the daughter, and actually now she's gone and that whole storyline was resolved. I was like, oh wait, hold on. So this wasn't a filler episode. It was genuinely built to supposedly, I guess, progress his story of his character, but also to resolve the storyline with the daughter. And exactly like you said, I felt a bit unsatisfied at the end. And I was a bit, I don't know, I think the thing that did it for me was that when she disappeared into the cloud as a child, if they'd ended it there, I would have thought, yeah, okay. But then immediately she comes back within a split second as a fully grown up woman to tell him, yeah, everything's okay, I'm okay, I've lived a life. And I was like, actually, I would rather that they hadn't done that. I would rather that they had given almost a soft close to the story to say, yes, she's somewhere safe. And then maybe in another episode, she's brought back to give him that resolution, maybe in a more important way. But I felt like it was a bit rushed to kind of just close the lid on it and let's just move on. And she's gone now and you don't have to think about her anymore.
Yeah, I get that. But I understand that. But I think, I don't know, I didn't really mind that. Only because there was that other episode where you found out at the end that the child was being used as a battery, right? And he was he was dead now.
Yeah.
He was like, they were going to lose his life. So I think it was nice to have, because if she went as a child into that nebula and then you don't know what's happened, it's a bit like, well, what's happened now? Like, where is she? Did she die? Like, is she safe? Will she come back? So I think, I'm not saying that's what I wanted, but I think I know why they made her come back. But, because it would have been like, if it's left, well, where is she? Like, is she okay? What's happened? Or he would have been saying that, and then he wouldn't have had that closure. So the next few episodes would have to be him going, oh, is my daughter all right? I hope she's okay. So now at least he knows that
I guess so.
Time has moved differently. She's lived a life. She's fine. Get on with your life now.
Yeah, but by the time he left that room, she's probably dead.
No, but it might be eternal. You don't know. She didn't age anymore. I don't know.
I don't know. It was just, I think I just found that entire episode a bit strange.
Yeah.
And up until that point, I quite liked the character. It's not that I dislike him now. I do still like the character, but I think I'm a bit confused about what they're doing with this guy, because they've given him this backstory with the daughter and then they've just closed the lid on it. For me, that was a defining part of who he was, because that's basically all you've really seen of him. And now that's sort of done. So now what? I know nothing else about this guy, and there's nothing more to him.
Oh, we're going to find out.
So I hope they do more with him. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
I mean, that inner turmoil where his daughter is trapped, and he's, you know, the thing with when you first find out about the daughter being trapped in the pattern buffer and the power being diverted to power.
When he's hiding it.
You know, he's happy to tender his resignation. He's put it all on the line to try and keep her safe. That was a really cool episode, and those moments where he's torn between doing the right thing but also having to own up to the fact that he's making these moves to try and save his daughter is really cool. And obviously Una is in that scene as well, where she's like, don't worry, we've diverted power and we're gonna help you. I love that, because that familial kind of relationship that the crew has to build over the course of the series, that's a big moment. So yeah, I do hope they do a bit more with him.
Yeah. Like, speaking of characters like this, so characters that are not necessarily there anymore. Let's go to Lieutenant Hammer.
He was really cool.
what I do like about this is that they maintain the Strange New Worlds is that they maintain links to like Enterprise or Discovery, or so it's anchored in that universe. Like he's obviously in Ina, which are some sort of relation to Andorians, all blind, but like slightly telepathic or something. They were in Enterprise when they were flying those ships with the Suliban. So you know who the species is, which is great because it's from something you've seen before. As a character, he's very different to the rest. So not what you expect from a Star Trek character, right? He's like the grumpiest dude, right? But he's morally so good. So he fits into that Star Trek mold. Yeah. But his personality is nothing like that.
Well, in a way, he made me think of Scotty. Yeah. Because Scotty is a bit of a grumpy engineer, right? Yeah. He's always whinging, he's always complaining. He's not, I wouldn't say he's whingy, he's just a bit of a miserable sod. Yeah. But he does it in a very amusing, very funny way. And, he's deadpan. The guy, I don't think he smiles in the entire series. And I really liked him for it. I think you need that. It's almost like an antidote to all of the happy and sort of jolly characters that you have elsewhere. People are officious and whatever because that's Star Trek. But, he does bring something different to the table. And I really liked him. I think he's a wicked character.
Aurora. Cadet Aurora.
Wicked.
In this case. Yeah. I think we should obviously mention sad day, that's sad times that original Aurora's passed away. But what a way to be remembered as a younger version of yourself with this actress. Like brilliant.
So good.
Yeah, really good.
She's so good.
I think so too.
It's really, really interesting to see the backstory because obviously we know her as Lieutenant Uhura. She's a communications officer, expert linguist, and we've kind of seen that in the Kelvin universe thing as well, where we saw a tiny bit of the backstory and the weird relationship with Spock, but there wasn't a huge amount of build up because that's the nature of movies. But here, seeing her wrestling with her history and trying to find her place within the universe, it's really interesting.
And the fact she's not joined Starfleet because she wants to join Starfleet. Yeah. She's just escaped something else.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot of times with Star Trek, apart from, I can think of maybe a couple of times it's happened with people like Icheb from Voyager, you don't really follow a character. You don't follow their path from how their progression through Star Trek. It's happened a bit with Wesley Crusher as well. Yeah. But this is one true where they're like fixed on her. This is one true time where you can see her path as a cadet, doing her rotations with everyone, deciding what to do, what her next plans are. And I really like that they've gone that way where they've chosen someone that is going to be an integral part of the crew later, but she's not now, and following her journey to that point.
Yeah, not knowing, especially because they've created that doubt.
Yeah.
She's going to end up there. Yeah. But that she's struggling with this doubt. Yeah. So how did she get from where she is now doing her rotations to actually becoming not just part of the crew, but lieutenant as well? Yeah. Because that's a significant achievement.
She's not even an ensign. She's just a cadet, isn't she?
She's just cadet.
Yeah.
So there's a long way to go yet. Yeah. I'm really interested to see how she ends up there.
Well, she's a cadet. Her rotation on the Enterprise might end and she might go back and go somewhere else.
She goes somewhere else. Yeah. So I think it's really, really good way of developing that character that is going to end up in a certain place. It's really, really cool. Okay. Really interesting.
Staying with the red shirts, we've got obviously the Chief of Security, Lan Noonien Sung.
What a backstory though.
I know.
Right, I heard the name in the first episode and I was like, hold on, let me pause that and go back again. Yeah. What? Yeah. Is that right?
That was cool.
Really cool.
I mean, none of the genetic superiority, but she has the name, which is pretty cool.
And I'm glad they didn't do that because you've already got Una, who is badass. She's badass in her own way.
And eugenics and all that is banned anyway, so it'd be weird. And conveniently head of security. So
Yeah, she's wicked. There's the backstory between her and Una, that they've got sort of previous relationship, which is quite cool because it creates a bond that you're exploring in the current time, but there's more to it from before.
And they're two of the strongest females in that group. So them two knowing each other, together.
That's cool.
It's going to make for some great.
But they've written her as a security officer exactly what I would expect a security officer to be.
Yeah.
Super officious, straight down the line.
Yeah.
You know, follow the rules, do what you're told. Make sure you're in the right place at the right time. The whole thing. And although it is obvious and it's predictable, she does it really, really well. Yeah. And they bring bits and pieces of humor into it, which I think is missing from a lot of Star Trek now. Or at least, even if it's there, I don't think it's done nearly as well as it's done here. I think maybe the episodic nature gives them a bit of room, a bit more leeway to weave that into the fabric of the story, because there's not as much weight. You know, in a lot of the other series, the weight of the storyline is so heavy that trying to alleviate that could easily come across like a bit crass. Whereas here they don't have that worry. So,
and I think the thing that I like about her is that, like you said, obviously she's a descendant of Khan, right? That's a bit of prejudice straight away.
Yeah.
Then she's that typical security officer, following protocol, no messing around, all that stuff. But they've made her relatable and human because of her relationship with Una, 1, but 2, because of her fear of the Gorn. The way when the Gorn get mentioned, how she behaves, you can just tell like she is traumatized by the Gorn.
Yeah, how she goes, you know, from that very stern exterior, and actually internally she's very strong as well in general, but it's, you know, the Gorn is mentioned or there's a threat and you just see her visually go to pieces. I mean, she's a fantastic actor to show that on screen, but it also comes out in her actions and the way that she behaves and the things that she says to Captain Pike when they're involved with the Gorn. It's almost, at some points, it's almost defeatist. Like, we're done.
Yeah,
they're here.
Or she's like, run.
Finished.
Just run.
Just run. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And they're all like, wait, what the hell? We're Starfleet, we don't do that. And she's like, then you'll die.
Yeah.
That's it, we're dead. That's it.
She's either like, run or kill them all.
Yeah. Well, because then that's the other part of her personality coming out and saying, right, okay, well, if we're maybe going to die, then let's just go after them and try and kill them all. Because otherwise, if you leave one, that's it.
Yeah. But yeah.
The Gorn are the main antagonist of the series.
Yeah, they're like the Borg of Strange New Worlds.
What do you think?
This was the only disappointment for me. Not
really?
Yeah, not what they are, not how they're perceived, what they are. When you see what they do, like all the limbs that are torn and all the blood trails that are left, not that bit. Specifically this. So we all know what adult Gorns look like, right? From
comical.
From the Enterprise episode with Kirk and the Gorn fighting. Right? Obviously they're not dudes in rubber suits, but you know roughly that they're bipedal and how they look. This looks nothing like that. This looks more animal. And I know this is juvenile, but you don't know anything about their life cycle or what's going to happen. I would have liked to have, if you're going to say that this is one, then show one later on be looking more like what we traditionally know Gorn to look like.
I don't agree, because I think the fact that we don't know about their life cycle, actually no one has even lived long enough to say anything about them, except it would seem for Lan. I think what we saw, you know, in that brief period of a few hours from the whole alien breakfast thing where he jumps out the chest and they run away and that whole thing, to basically being a slightly different version of a xenomorph, right? To the moments where we're being told that they will hunt each other so that only the strongest ever survive, and then they move on and they will propagate the species through a new host and that kind of thing. That development cycle was really fast. I mean, they come out as a tiny little thing and then they grow to that. And then who knows where they go from this in the next 12 hours or 24 hours. So part of me wonders whether this version of the Gorn is, you said the word juvenile, I think that's correct, but so early,
infant.
This could be toddler state, right? And this doesn't lend itself to, for example, the ships that we've seen flying around and how they attack people. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm assuming adult Gorn are on those ships, because I can't imagine these dudes flying those ships. Yeah.
So I guess that's where I'm sort of saying potentially their life cycle is so fast and their evolution is advancing at such a rate because of how quickly they grow, but also as a result of how aggressive their natural selection process is. The fact is that if 5 of them or 4 of them or 10 of them hatch, within 12 hours there might be one left. The idea being is the strongest one will kill the other 9 to make sure that only the strong one survives, so that the next generation that they propagate will be using that strongest one as a starting point. And then again, the next 10 that are born, 9 of them will die, and the next one is even stronger again. And that could happen within a 36-hour period. So I wonder whether what you're describing about what we've seen from the original series, that probably is a fully grown adult Gorn. We just haven't seen it yet. Yeah. What we're seeing is the almost natural environment as a baby, what their instincts are from the moment they are born, which is basically to destroy, to survive, and to always try and be the strongest that they can be at whatever cost, be it the rest of their own species.
Maybe that will carry on as the Borg. So as you go through the series,
they're getting stronger and stronger.
You'll see different versions and different abilities and different looks and stuff.
Yeah, and I wonder whether so they spray people with or a person with whatever chemical that basically lays its eggs inside them. I wonder, is there any element of genetics involved where it takes genetic information from the host? Perhaps it uses that to create the next level of intelligence or next level of understanding of potentially their enemy. Because that could also lead to a growth in their intelligence as they continue to grow, where they've been hatched from 25 different species. So
and their evolution, depending on the species, like limbs and stuff like that.
Limbs, maybe telepathic abilities, strength, speed, all sorts of stuff. So I think, and obviously their physical characteristics. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential there. I'll say that I felt that it was a bit derivative because, I mean, apart from the face, that's an alien from Alien. 100%. The tail, the whole thing hatching out the body and bursting out and little tiny things scurrying away and then growing really fast the same way an alien does. The savagery, ripping limb from limb, running up the walls and all that stuff. It is basically an alien. I don't really mind it because, hey, what are you going to do? But yeah, I did feel that was a little derivative. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Now, we can't talk about Star Trek without talking about Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk.
James T. Kirk. Now, there's purposely not going to be a picture of his brother because I hate him. But what do you think of the Kirks?
Okay.
Let's start with his brother because I feel like that's going to be a very short conversation.
I don't know why he's in it.
I know. And I don't know why he's an idiot. that much of an
why
idiot.
did they make him so much of a moron?
I mean, he's got Kirk blood in him. He's like, at least make him semi-cool, right? He was in the original series, played by William Shatner with a moustache. But you only saw his corpse because he had died. So
is that what you're hoping for?
Yeah, well, so I like that I like that they're showing him, but I don't like how they've portrayed him.
I just don't know why he's there.
No, and if it's comic relief, why are you using someone with the name Kirk to do that? I don't understand that.
No, and even if it is comic relief, he's just such a moron.
Yeah.
I mean, that very first episode where they introduce him and he just runs into the thing and knocks himself out.
Everything against Starfleet protocol, right? Just goes and touches the thing and passes out.
Just a moron.
Yeah.
I think he should just no longer be there. I'd be quite happy if he's just no longer there.
Mm.
I don't know whether they're trying to develop the character in a way that maybe then they have the opportunity to kill him off the same way they did before, and that leads to some sort of bigger storyline for James Kirk. But I mean, whatever. I don't really care about him.
What about him?
I thought he was really good.
Yeah,
I thought he was really good. I thought the actor plays him well. He looks like he could be James Kirk. Again, these are hard things to follow.
Yeah. Of course.
Right, we've had 2 iterations. We've had the William Shatner iteration. We've had Chris Pine as the other one, and he's done very well. I think the introduction of an alternative Kirk was always going to be difficult, and that in the movie universe, you kind of gave him a bit of space, and I think he's made it into his own. Now we've had a new introduction of James Kirk, and I think he's done pretty well. We haven't seen a huge amount from him, but he feels like James Kirk.
Yeah, I think he acts like him based on what we've seen about how he's behaved. With his, it's not reckless, but it's rule bending.
Yeah, and he's always thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, that episode where he turns up with all of those drones.
Oh, yeah, the mining ships and stuff.
The mining
pretending
ships.
That's the fleet. Yeah.
And I just thought that was cool.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing I would expect him to do.
Yeah.
You know, he's making a play, right? He knows you're up against unfathomable odds and your chances of success are extremely low. But what can I do? What resources do I have available to me, and how can I make a play to get out of this? Very Kirk thing to do.
As is bluffing. He does that a lot in the original Enterprise with like, I've got this mega gun that will kill you. You don't have anything.
It turns out to be a torch.
And what do you think about his relationship with Pike?
I think it's well done in that there is a bit of captain rivalry there, but they're developing the mentor-mentee relationship between the two of them, which we know comes along in time. And I think these little baby steps that have been taken fill me with confidence that they're going to nail it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I hope that it's a long, like we've discussed the Gorn and this, I hope it's a long thing indicating there'll be a few seasons rather than just like 2 and then it's over or something.
Yeah, because I also don't want him to be in every episode.
Yeah.
I want him to come in at a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
Or for there to be a really good reason for him to be there to develop the storyline, not just because it's going to grab the attention of every Trekkie viewer.
No.
I want him to come in and for there to be a really good development of the overall storyline between the two of them, because ultimately I think that's where it needs to sit.
Yeah,
the reason for him to be there is to develop the storyline with Captain Pike.
Yeah, and I think Pike is the main thing for the next 10 years till he has his accident, however long this is going to last. So it should be about Pike.
Please be 10 years.
Yeah, but I feel like it will probably end very much with him taking over.
I hope so.
I can see the ending being like Pike handing over captaincy to him coming on the bridge, they play the original tune, and then he says is like, engage or whatever, or let's go, or
you had it here first.
and then that's it. But in the series,
spoiler alert.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I agree. I think it should be about Pike, and he should be brought in when necessary.
Yeah. Just
to know that he's there, and you know what's going to happen, but tease it in.
And can you imagine if they did that after 10 years and then did another 10 years with him?
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be...
That would be set.
Oh, that would take me to retirement.
Our Star Trek
be
fans
amazing.
would be set.
I'd be so happy with that.
So, we've had a good discussion about everything. Well, how do you feel generally about this? We're on that time now for ratings.
Okay.
So, what do you think? Tell me what your views and then your rating.
Okay, so as I said in my glowing Doctor Strange review, for me it's about how I feel when I watch something. All the performances can be great, but if I don't feel satisfied and I don't feel great at the end of watching an episode or a season or a movie or whatever it is, then that's going to severely affect how I rate the show or the movie or whatever it is. I love this. It's been coming out every week, and it's been a long time since I've had a show where I've been like, oh, when is it coming out? I can't wait. Okay, it's out now. Sit down. Everyone just shut up. Let me watch this show. I'm not on my phone. I'm basically, apart from the Mbenga episode, I'm basically glued to it. And that is kind of rare for me now. So on that basis, I'm going to give it a 9.
Wow, that's high.
I think it's awesome. I think it has a bit of work to do in a few areas, and it's certainly not perfect. But as a Star Trek show, and I guess perhaps it's that high because it's also a relative score. I bitched a bit about Discovery. I haven't spoken at all about Picard. I thought the first season was good. I thought the second season, I don't know what they're doing, but we'll have another video. You can come and comment on that one about Picard. But as Star Trek shows go, about what's in the marketplace right now and how it makes me feel about all the stuff that we've seen before, yeah, this is 9 for me.
Yeah, I'm very similar to you. So I think the casting, the acting, superb. I like the whole one episode is a thing with a moral story or ethical story or whatever. So I like all that. Back to, it reminds me of old Star Trek. Love that.
Yeah.
It's not going to get a 10 because it's not perfect.
No.
What I do think about it though is I compare it, or in the back of my head I think Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, Voyager, right? The fact that, as you said as well, Discovery, you liked the first season, but you didn't. After that, it went a bit downhill for you. This has only had one season. I like it, but I don't know where it's going.
That's fair.
So for that reason, my score would be an 8 to an 8.5. So it's better than a lot of things that I would have rated, but it's not amazing yet, just because I don't know. But it definitely has the potential to be if they do it right.
Yeah, I agree. Solid show.
Yeah. So Star Trek's back.
And
we love it. Basically.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back with a few more videos in the next few days. Please leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think of the show. If you've agreed with what we've said, or if you disagree, we'd love to hear from you.
Or even about Star Trek in general. I mean, we both love it. So if you like
Definitely.
Star Trek, if you have anything to say about anything else, we'd love to hear it.
Awesome. And please like and subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.